right, 10:05. Welcome to Chicago Now. We have a fun show. Now. I'm surrounded by a couple beautiful blondes. Oh, we're gonna have a let's
wow, that
about.
was.
Yeah. That was a great intro.
Yeah, I guess Jake and I do have that in common.
You do, and the blue eyes. I mean, come on.
We could be brother and sister.
She would be the sibling that everyone likes, and I'd be the other one.
No, Jake.
Like, you know when you go to some family's house, you can tell who the favorite kid is because they've got one big giant picture and then like a smaller one. Like it'd be like a giant over the fireplace photo of Natalie Bomke, and then like over in the side room there'd be like a little picture on the table of me.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
See? At least she's honest about it.
I'm joking. Okay, Caitlin, what do we
Jake,
got on
you're-
tap?
Yes.
You are a favorite, though.
Thank you.
Because I've heard that you were one of the only, well, actually the only Chicago reporter to talk about a movie that's.
Well, it's always nice here at Fox 32. I like to brag on behalf of us that we get these really big Chicago exclusives. We're not the only station in town, but oftentimes we are the only station in town to get to talk to these people, which is really great. But yeah, it's a little bit of a flashback. We've been talking a lot about the 90s today, which is fun because that's the era that, that I hold fondly in my heart. And one of the reasons why is that as someone who loves scary movies, I loved that late 90s slasher era of horror movies. And if you know what I'm talking about, it kicked off in 96 when Scream came out. And in true fashion, a cheap thing made a lot of money. So what does Hollywood do? They learn all the wrong lessons and they go, cool, we'll do that too. And that led to probably a 5 or 6 year period where every couple of months we got Scream 2, we got Valentine, Urban Legend. It was different mass killers.
Am I not hearing it?
I'm not hearing it either. This is all
I've got IFB in my ear from a completely different show. That's Chicago Later that I was hearing in my ear. That's not Chicago Now. So, one of the great things, is, so they're rebooting a lot of these things. We got the Scream cast back together a few years back, and now next week we're getting a reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was one of the pinnacle kind of slasher movies, but it does bring back two of the surviving OG cast members, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt.
And you just spoiled it for me.
Well, no, if they're back in the new one, it very much implies they survived the other ones. And so they're back in this new one, and I had the chance to sit down with Freddie Prinze Jr. where we kind of reminisced very much about that 90s era of slasher movies, and as a big part of those movies, what he most remembers about them.
Obviously, when that original movie came out, October 17th, 97, Scream had already come out. Scream 2 was just a few months away. We still hadn't gotten Valentine or Urban Legend, but we were very much in the slasher era, the era that I grew up and loved as a kid. I'd love to know what you just remember as an actor about that explosion of slasher movies that came out in the late 90s.
Yeah, every 10 years, horror films kind of evolve, right? And it happens much more quickly than comedies or dramas or action movies or anything like that. And we had just come from a time when horror movies weren't really being respected. And it took Wes to come in and kind of remind people, no, look what you can do with a low budget, but a great script that's character driven with wonderful set pieces. This is Scream. And all of a sudden everybody goes, oh yeah, we can make money on horror movies. And so they started taking swings on other scripts and they started giving opportunities to other scripts and ideas. And then 10 years later, it starts to getting diluted and the movies aren't as good anymore, and then it has to evolve and change, and all of a sudden Saw came out, which makes our movies not scary anymore. You know what I mean? And kids are like, well, now I've seen this, so now your movie's funny. I remember as a kid thinking Freddy Krueger was terrifying. My friend was like, wait till you see Phantasm, which was 1978, I believe, 79. And right before the 80s started, and I was like, man, this isn't scary, this is funny. But it's because horror evolves so quick, these directors and writers are constantly trying to outperform what inspired them, because you can't scare somebody with the same thing twice. It just doesn't work.
To your point, you mentioned funny. What was your relationship like when Scary Movie came out and it was actively making fun of?
Oh my God, we hit a boat! Where's the foot?
I haven't seen it. I really only watch horror movies. That's all I've seen. But anytime that your art is successful enough that somebody's going to parody it. I mean, I grew up reading Mad Magazine. That was parody of every movie that ever came out. Then I guess you're doing something right. But I never got to see it. Did they do the sideburns? I think I had the bad sideburns back then.
Whoa.
It concerns me that he made fun of those sideburns, because I used to have those sideburns, and I didn't know it was not cool. I still thought it was cool. I do think it's interesting that he's never seen Scary Movie, which, if you're unfamiliar, was very much a spoof of sort of the horror movies that came out at that time. If someone made like a spoof video of like Good Day Chicago, I'd be first in line to see that. I would love to see that.
And who would play Jake Hamilton?
Oh, I don't know. Depends on if Brad Pitt's available.
Okay.
I mean, you know.
Boy, that
How
would
do
be a
you
fantasy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What is happening? I need to get out
What?
some boxing gloves.
No.
Freddie
I love
Prinze
Jake
Jr.
so much.
Do you remember back in the day?
Yeah.
She's all that.
Yeah.
Yes, that was my favorite movie of his.
Was it?
Yes, it was good.
life lesson that all you have to do to be hot is take off your glasses and not wear overalls?
Yeah.
That was
true,
I love it.
right?
The whole premise of the movie is they got a very beautiful young woman to play like the ugly, and they're like, we're
Right.
gonna make her pretty.
Yeah,
And she
the
took off her
makeover
glasses.
Scene. I always loved the makeover scene, like in Clueless and
Yeah.
What was the one with Anne Hathaway?
Princess Bride. No, Princess Diaries.
Yes.
Princess Bride's a different one.
Diaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
You know,
let's
they're in
just
the middle.
remake it.
They're filming right now. Devil Wears Prada 2.
Have you seen it yet?
No, because it's not done yet.
Oh, it's
They're
not done.
Yeah, they're
filming
filming
it.
Oh, they're filming it
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I could see a second one. I feel like it's a standalone.
Yeah, I unfortunately I
know?
feel that way about a lot of these movies that we
Yeah.
get with a part 2, but you know, that's
I'm curious to know what happens down the road. Is she going to be the new head honcho?
yeah, because what's her name just left, so that could be a part of the inspiration. What's
Anna Wintour.
Yeah. So maybe that could be sort of the idea. And does Stanley Tucci finally get to go to Paris?
I can't believe that so much word has spread about Princess Diaries 2 and it's just being filmed. Like, that's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
Oh, you mean Devil Wears Prada 2?
What did I say?
Princess Diaries.
Sure.
Yes. Well, I mean, they announced. They put out like an announcement, like, "Hey, get ready." It's sort of
Okay.
the long game of promotion. Like, hey, prepare yourself.
Like Wicked. I
Wicked,
feel like
yeah.
we heard about that like 2 years
Yeah,
before it came out.
exactly.
you
Yeah,
know?
we're here,
Yeah.
and we're about to get that. That's about to get ramped up again. But I want to swing back to the
Yeah.
90s. What we were talking on Good Day Chicago earlier today about things from the 90s that we miss, and for me, it would be the video store experience. That's which is something kids today I don't think, unfortunately, will ever be able to like. Being, I mean, I remember on a Friday night being so anxious because, like, you know, you're on your way to Blockbuster and you're telling your mom, hurry, we got to go, because you want that movie that you want to see to be there. And if it's not, you go check out. Remember the box of like returns you're digging through, and then and then if you don't have it, you go up to the employee and if you work up the courage, 8 years old, and be like, do you guys have Addams Family Values, and just pray that they had that movie that you wanted, and that was such a part of my
Right.
experience. And what is something from the 90s that you guys miss?
Well, I know we had a list, and one of them was biker shorts were acceptable, but I thought those were still in trend.
They are. I was saying this morning, I have 2 of them in my
Yeah.
Amazon cart
Yeah.
that I'm going to check out today for Prime Days.
I
I'm like,
thought they were.
yeah. I said fanny packs earlier.
Sure. But
yeah.
I love a fanny pack.
But isn't everything
I
sort of
could wear
cyclical
12
though?
fanny
I
packs.
feel like those are still in style too.
But
Yeah.
everything comes back around. I feel like everything that's
Right.
popular, it then goes through a period of like intense unpopularity. And then if you give it about 20 years, like I feel like the baggy jeans and
Oh.
like even like the loose fitting suits
Yeah.
are coming from like
They
the 90s.
are.
We were talking about the Bulls dynasty. Remember that when that Bulls documentary came out, all the videos of like Jordan and Pippen and Rodman and like those very
Yes,
large. And as
right.
someone who likes to wear suits that are too thin as it is,
You're like,
that's
oh,
sort of
no.
that's sort of my nightmare.
Yeah.
But I do remember trying to get my mom. Do you guys remember Jinko jeans? Yes, you guys remember Jinkos? The very, very wide leg jeans. Like you had to take
Lots of
like
loops.
3 steps to move one of the pant legs. I remember begging my mom to get me a pair of Jinko jeans, and she
Yeah.
didn't do it.
I was thinking the other day I was watching one of my favorite home decorating shows on HGTV, Hometown Fab. Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
And
Wow.
she had on.
See, look at the loose fitting stuff.
Yes,
in the back.
she had on almost a pair of
no.
jeans like this. I thought, when did it become
Wow.
okay for your rear end not to look good in jeans?
But
You know,
that's-
it's like with the mom jeans
Yeah.
and these that women are wearing. I'm like, I thought the whole point of jeans was to
Yeah.
like accentuate, but not anymore.
Okay.
This is maybe the first. If that's truly sort of the direction that fashion is going in, it might be the first time where I truly feel old, where I look at something and go, "Oh, that's what's popular," and I don't like it. I
Yeah.
don't think I will wear those.
That's
things.
okay.
I like
You
the
can
loose
say
jean
that.
look, but
Yeah.
those are a little bit thick.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Take up a lot of real estate there. What do you think our kids are going to look back on from their childhood that won't exist in 20 years? That they're
Oh,
gonna miss?
interesting.
Maybe Netflix, like maybe even just like sitting down and watching the TV. Like, what is TV going to look like down the road?
I was just going to say real life. Like, I mean, is everything going to be AI goggles?
Yeah.
In 20
You know?
years? I don't know. You think?
I don't know. I mean, the virtual reality stuff is so big, and I don't even know if like the actual physical experiences, like going to Disney World or going on a cruise, or I mean, you could just experience it from your living room, right?
Right.
I worry that, did you guys ever see Wall-E?
Yeah.
When like the humans at the end, where they're just these big, large humans, and they're on these like floating chairs, just like watching like TV because they don't want to move anymore. And I think that's sort of the fear of like that's.
I don't know, you guys. I don't think so, because we don't want that.
I'm not saying we want it, but it doesn't change the fact that it's could happen.
I don't think they would want it either.
I don't know. I mean, look, I don't have kids. How tough is it to get the iPad out of their hands? How tough is it to get a tablet? You know?
I actually don't have too much of a.
No, okay, that's good.
But it's because it's summertime probably, so we're outside like all day every day. In the winter, it's a different story.
Sure.
But then again, when we were kids, probably the same. You know?
But we didn't have those things when we were like.
Nintendo 64.
Yeah, but that was such a luxury. I mean, I didn't have that. I mean, I still, I see a lot of things online. We're part of the last generation to remember life before the internet, which makes us a very
That's so
we kind of
true.
straddle that,
Yep.
we had enough of a childhood to remember what life was like before the dial-up internet.
Yeah.
The fact that I remember being yelled at to get off the internet so my mom could use the phone.
Right.
Which is such a very specific, small moment in the internet's history.
Yeah.
Man.
And do you guys remember your AOL instant message name?
Yes.
What was it?
Reptar 2008.
Why?
I don't know.
What in the world?
Why?
R3PTAR. I have no clue, you guys.
I don't think
remember.
I had instant messenger.
Yeah, like on AOL.
I had that,
Yeah.
probably Nat Bomb or something.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because
I
I only
remember my girlfriend was Brooke DeBabe, and I was so jealous.
Oh, that's a good one.
Brooke DeBabe.
I only remember using that in college.
Oh.
And I'd
Oh, yeah.
see like who was online,
Yeah.
like a guy I was
Yeah.
interested in, is he
And the
on?
little green circle.
Yeah,
or
the green
whatever.
circle. But in
remember-
college, that was college for me.
So I remember, I remember it was part of my middle school, a lot of high school. I remember in high school, because remember, I don't know if you remember, if you had the sound effects on, the sound of someone leaving was a door shutting.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember in high school, like, you'd see the girl you have a crush on, and you'd say like
door
hey,
slams.
hey, what's up? Bam, door slam. And I was like,
No.
oh. Now every time I hear a
that
door
was
slam, just my
sus.
heart breaks
Yeah.
just a little bit.
So my parents gave me a box of like memorabilia, and in there I had printed off sheets of conversations from AOL.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
It was like between me and my boyfriend.
Tomorrow on Chicago Now, we're gonna go through all of
Through
them.
It was pretty funny. I think I took a couple pictures, but
Wow.
just printed off these whole conversations.
Yeah, but see, those are like little things where like, signing on to the internet was like a big deal. Like
Yeah.
you announced to your family, "I'm going to use the computer." Like it was a big thing,
Living
And
room computer
yeah,
in
and
the
now
big
it's
box.
just such a normal. Yeah, it was a huge thing. So
Yeah, down the road, I don't know what our kids are gonna miss. I'm not sure. I think the world is gonna look quite different, like you said, Natalie, like with technology
Yeah.
and.
Maybe road trips. I mean, think about how if we get self-driving cars, how
Yeah.
different that is, because
I-
you're able to
oh, that's such
engage
a
as
bummer.
a family.
Yeah.
But think about
No,
all the
you're
things you
right,
could
yeah.
do in the vehicle if you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
driving. Like you could engage with your family a little bit more, or you could just all be on iPads. I don't
it's
know.
funny. I was just telling you guys,
Right.
I just did a road trip, and I think the thing I loved most about it is, I drove by myself, was not engaging with anybody. I think that was kind of just it was literally the dog in the back seat who would occasionally
Isn't that every
deep
day
sigh.
after work for you though?
Yeah, but here's what I'll tell you, because I have buddies that call me in the afternoon, and sometimes, and I'm curious if you guys feel this way, and you guys have families, so it's harder for you, but so much of this job is just being on
Yeah.
all the time. Even when we're not on camera in the newsroom, you're talking to people and everything, and sometimes when I get home, like just the last thing I want to do is just talk. I don't want to talk to. So my buddies will call to talk about fantasy football or whatever, and I just want to answer, and they'll text me like, "I know you're home. Like, I know what your hours are."
Can you imagine?
What,
doing
do you
with
see it on the
kids?
computer like AOL?
Yeah.
Like is the green light
Yeah,
on?
exactly. The door would slam shut.
Yeah, I feel that way, but we don't get to do that.
Yeah. You guys have people waiting
Sometimes
for
I
you.
think about that. Like, can you imagine? Sometimes when you're really tired, like if you went home and you could
Yeah.
just like lay in your bed and watch shows
I take a nap when I go home.
and eat some food and
It's the best.
take a nap.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, a lot of demands.
Yeah. Well, speaking of demands, coming up, we are also going to talk about if you're late all the time.
Oh, pet peeve of mine.
Oh.
That is a massive pet peeve of mine.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. We're going to talk to an etiquette expert.
Yes.
The do's and don'ts about being
Time is
late
such a form of respect.
I like that.
You should teach that to my husband.
Oh, is he always late?
There's a 15-minute rule with Ed.
See,
he's missed
that
flights.
That drives me. Oh.
Missed flights.
Honestly, I'm the guy that I want to get to. I want to get to the airport early enough to go, like, find like a place to eat across from the gate, so I can just sit there and stare at the gate for 2 hours and know exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm early, and I fly through security. I've got all the TSA clears and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're also going to talk about MDMA.
Good show today.
Yeah, about singer Lord, I guess, uses MDMA therapy. So we're going to talk about if it's safe, what is it, what does it entail. So all ahead. Jake, you should stick around.
I got a thing.
We'll be
sure you do. The door is just slammed.
Slam.
10:23, welcome back. So if you've ever been the one tapping your foot at a restaurant waiting for your friend who shows up late, you're not alone. I guess TikTok lately has been full of debates about chronic lateness, time blindness, and whether showing up late is just bad manners or something deeper. So how do we navigate this without hurting feelings or friendships? We're going to be joined by an expert here to talk about this, Natalie, which I feel like we could go on and on.
Hi there, it's Akila CD. Hey Akila, how are you?
Hey, how are you guys doing? Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, thanks for checking in. Okay, so what is the deal with this? I'm actually pleasantly surprised that people on TikTok are talking about it, because that means maybe that the younger generation is time conscious.
Yeah.
But talk about being late. I mean, that's pretty offensive, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what you guys have at the bottom of the screen. It's not cute.
Yeah.
So it's a level of respect. Of course, there's levels to the respect, but it is a sign that you're not respecting somebody else's time. So a lot of people are bothered by that. The the tapping of the foot, that's that body language to say that I was here on time, where are you? So it is considered a sign of disrespect. Etiquette is about polite behavior in society. So you want to make sure that you're accommodating as many people as you possibly can with a level of respect.
I love the word accommodate.
Yeah.
People don't accommodate enough.
What do you say to people who make this a quirky personality trait, being late?
Can we go back? It's not cute. No, but I do. People do know that if they are a chronic late person, I would make sure that I am announcing, you know what, I probably will be late. If I have not taken as an adult the wherewithal to be able to leave early because I know I'm a chronic late person, you're probably fine with it, and you're fine with the consequences associated with it, which may be you getting yelled at for 5 minutes, but everybody will move on from there. I don't think people are going to take it too much of a personal offense. But if you're prepared for the consequences and you know you're going to just be late, people will just deal with those consequences. But I would try to respect, especially if it's a job situation or things like that, you know you can't be late.
Oh my gosh, so, I know. I mean, if you are late to a job interview and you don't have like a really good excuse, red flag.
You can't just get your personality.
Right.
Yeah, you can, well, this is who I am. But no, I think when people have those levels of responsibility to showing up on time, they do have the ability, which to me says you can be on time.
Can I ask you, as a parent of 3, I am late to everything. I think I don't account for enough time to get all of the people ready that I need to get into the car and get to my location. Is there any excuse to that if you have kids, or is it still the same idea of you need to be prepared and leave way early and this is on you?
Well, you know what? My daughter heard this topic this morning and she like gave me a side eye because she makes me late, right? So that's what I tell her all the time. But yeah, you should make, I know my daughter is probably going to be about a 20-minute lag. So I do try to accommodate. Now you have that times 3. So we have created little schedules where the night before we're setting everything up in anticipation because we know that we can't be late to this specific thing. If it's a little relaxed time frame, I'm not as pushy, but if we know we have to be somewhere at time, I am making the precautions the night before, laying everything out, knowing that my child, I can't scream at her, right? So I know that they're going to be late, so I make those accommodations. You've seen the pattern.
Yeah, I'm one of those people too. Preparation is key. Like, you know, if I know my daughter has gymnastics or swim or something like that, I will the day before like lay out the suit, lay out all the things I know I need to take with me so that when I grab her, you know, we're ready to go. I mean, it's just, I don't know. But here's
my daughter had a situation where somebody was real late and she was waiting on it. And I said, I had to bring that moment back. I was like, this is how mommy feels when you make her late. Like they have to be able to connect the concept because at that age, they are not connecting the concept.
No, but let me tell you about connecting a little concept. So my,
oh boy.
My husband, notoriously late to the fact, I mentioned this earlier, Akila CD, that he has missed flights, okay, because of his tardiness. So it was a big problem when we first started dating. We got married, remained a problem, and we had a wedding to go to, our 2 very good friends. We needed to leave, and he was just getting in the shower. Okay, I'm ready to go, head to toe. So I knock on the shower door. How much longer are you gonna be? Doesn't respond. I get into an Uber, and I go to the ceremony, right? He calls me frantically, where are you? I'm like, I'm in the Uber like 10 minutes away from the ceremony. So he doesn't even end up getting there until like the middle of the ceremony.
No
yes,
way.
and his friends are like, where's Ed? And I'm like, I don't know, like, because I wasn't gonna be late. I didn't want to be walking in as the bride walked down the aisle, because it had already happened to us once before.
No.
So anyway, I guess I bring this up because
consequences.
So because of that one time, he is rarely late anymore. Okay, sometimes he is, but for the most part, generally he's not. My question to you is, if you live with someone like this or you've got a friend like this, is there a way to tactfully coach them to be better?
Yeah, so if I can dump my growing up trauma, my parents were like this. So I'm not going to say who was the late one all the time, but it was they were the opposites with respect to that. And the same thing happened. They started going in separate cars, separate times. You know, I'm going to be on time. And then they kind of eventually merged together. We would tell one parent, I'm really trying not to say which parent, we would tell one parent that there's a different start time. I would not let them be in charge. If you know you are the timekeeper, there's a little bit more responsibility within the house to kind of keep that if it's really agitating you with respect to that. So I would take that load to be able to be responsible for maybe changing the time. Don't let them see the invite. It actually starts at this time, and that can help with creating where you guys can go to events together eventually again.
If you're the one that's late all the time, is there a way to make it up to that person? Like, I am so sorry I'm late. What can I do to make this better? Like, as an etiquette coach.
Yeah. Acknowledging it. Some people just like, what's the big deal, right? So acknowledging it, like you are making this experience worse for me because I'm rushing to get to the event, or I'm not enjoying the beginning portion of the event. So explaining to the person why you are frustrated with respect to being on time. Again, going back to when we were talking about the children earlier, they need to understand why. They need to be able to connect those concepts. So if you can explain that and articulate that, maybe they'll be more sympathetic to the time issue.
One of the things that I do now, my husband will say, like, what time do you want to leave? And I'll say 1 o'clock. And like normally he's ready by that time. So I think that's another built-in way to kind of solve the problem, is now instead of assuming, like him doing the math in his head, like, okay, I think we need to leave at this time, he will ask. And so we're both on the same page.
I like that, yeah.
Which is kind of nice. You know, we both shoot for that time.
Yeah.
And then if I'm with the kids, you know, if he sees that it's getting close to that time and our daughter still hasn't brushed her teeth or doesn't have clothes on, then he will step up and say, okay, hey, let me help you with this.
I think I never leave enough time to get ready. I know I said that earlier in the show, but what I mean is, if we're having fun or something and I say, okay, we've got to leave in 30 minutes from now, my brain then shuts off the looking at the time, and I'm like, oh, 30 minutes is forever. And then we go about our business, and then it's 5 minutes before we have to leave, and it takes us 15 to get out the door.
Akila Sidi, how do you plan for traffic? Because that is the worst part of doing anything. Yeah. If you live close to the city of Chicago, I mean, because it's just a crapshoot, you know? Yeah.
Well, if it's a significant event, say a job interview, I always tell my people when I'm training them for their job interviews is at the same time, on the same day, check the map. I'm going to sound old map.
Okay, yeah.
Check the GPS. Yeah. Don't do it at 6 a.m. because that's not what time you're leaving. So at the same time on another day, make sure that you are seeing what traffic is and see if you can see what a pattern is. But if otherwise, it is a crapshoot, particularly in the city that we live in. Yeah. But I'm always probably 10 minutes early. I'm sitting in the car for 10 minutes before we go everywhere. So always giving that 30-minute cushion for travel.
I love that. Okay, Akila Sidi, is there somewhere that people should visit you on social media, maybe to see your posts or your updates?
It's all at Akila CT. I know it's a unique name. It's Akila, AKILAHSITI. So it's my first and middle name. All of those, you'll be able to find me.
Beautiful. Right. Thank you so much. You're such a delight.
Thanks for having me.
I want you to be my friend because I know you're always going to be on time.
I won't judge you either. So
okay. And I love the background of her.
I know, so pretty.
The wall behind her?
Yeah.
Well, coming up, we're going to talk about that MDMA experience that Lauren uses to see if it's safe, to see what you could expect if maybe you're interested in this. We'll be right back. 10:35. So get this. Pop star Lorde is getting candid about something a little unexpected. Therapy involving MDMA, which is kind of interesting, right?
It's like ecstasy, right?
A little scary, but also all right. In a recent interview, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, she said the psychedelic drug, sometimes known as Molly or ecstasy, helped her overcome a lifetime of debilitating stage fright. Interesting. Okay. She called it a game changer for her mental health. While it might sound unconventional, MDMA-assisted therapy is real, though it is experimental still. It's a form of treatment that's gaining traction in the mental health world. So how does it work, and what should people know before considering it? We're joined by Dr. Joshua E. Lowe with Rush Medical Group to help break it down. Good morning, Joshua.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us,
Hey,
Doctor.
Natalie. Hey, Caitlin. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Okay, so I mean, we're familiar with this as a party drug. I have done stories on magic mushrooms because of their psychedelic effects, being able to rewire the brain and help with trauma. Is it a similar thing with MDMA, excuse me. You can tell I've never used the drug. Tell me how this works.
Yeah, it's a really great question. So MDMA, ecstasy, or Molly, is a drug that's been out, really popular kind of in club cultures. But we found that there are some potential therapeutic benefits for MDMA. There was a couple studies, done in post-traumatic stress disorder a couple years ago that used MDMA and coupled it with therapy. And they found that that is a useful combination. However, it's not currently FDA approved. It's still a Schedule I drug, which means that the Drug Enforcement Agency at the federal level has said that there's not really enough evidence for this to be safe for use. And so we're kind of in an interesting spot where there's potentially some experimental options, but as of now, it's not really available through conventional ways.
So how is Lorde using this? Is she going to her doctor? How did she get approved for it?
That's a really great question. As of now, it's not available through any kind of prescription if you go see a physician. And so unclear how she's been able to get this.
Now I know that I think she's
British?
British? Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Maybe it's from, maybe
I
in
mean,
the UK
is it, I mean, obviously they have different regulations than we do. Have you heard of any studies over there maybe that they're doing, or is it more accessible to people overseas?
I think that as of now, the use in the U.S. is through research, through clinical trials. In other countries, there may be some other available ways to get some of these drugs, but as of now in the U.S., because of those restrictions, we don't really have a conventional way outside of clinical trials, that is, to be able to go forward with that. That being said, we have clinical trials. We're conducting some here at Rush with psilocybin. You mentioned the magic mushroom. Looking specifically at treatment-resistant depression. And so in the context of a research study, yes, there's some availability to work with some of these drugs, which we're doing here. But I'm not sure how Lorde is able to get it.
What is MDMA and what does it do to your body?
MDMA has several different mechanisms by which it works in our body. So there are usual neurotransmitters like dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin. These are ones that we use a lot in depression and anxiety disorders. And those are useful for mood, for attention, some different things like that. But what's interesting about MDMA is it also works with a couple other receptors, including oxytocin. And oxytocin is a pro-social, kind of it's called like the love drug. It induces some of these really positive feelings toward others. And so MDMA is somewhat unique in being able to hit many different systems.
I feel like almost the bigger story with this, which I learned as you were reading it, the fact that a performer had stage fright, and so she's trying to use this to overcome that. So any idea when this might be available? I mean, how long does it take the FDA to run through these? I mean, this could be like 10 years, right?
So I mentioned that a couple years ago, there were a couple big phase 3. So this is going to be like many people, hundreds typically, that go through the treatments compared to people who don't go through the treatments. And then you're really able to see, is it safe? Is it an effective treatment? And remember, that was specifically for post-traumatic stress disorder. Those studies were done, and they went to the FDA last year, and the FDA actually decided not to approve it. They were concerned about some issues with the study design and some other issues, and so they asked the company that was trying to go forward with getting this approved to go back and do more studies to establish more related to safety and efficacy. And this is really important with these psychedelic studies. It's a new avenue that we're going through in research. It's exciting, but safety is such a big thing, right? And so while there's a lot of potential, we do need to establish that these are safe and who these are safe treatments for.
So you mentioned psilocybin, now we're talking about MDMA. Are there any other psychedelic drugs that you guys are looking at for this?
As of now, we are doing psilocybin, mostly for depression, and that's where perhaps the most evidence is. And then there are some other compounds that are working similarly in the psychedelic space. There's a specific receptor that all psychedelics hit. It's called 5-HT2A. It's a serotonin receptor. So there's a couple other compounds that are coming out also trying to target that specific receptor. And then there are other treatments kind of in this space. Ibogaine is one that's got some cool research out of Stanford, and now Texas is trying to do a little bit more work in that space for substance use disorders, PTSD, potentially. So yeah, there are many new exciting ones to come out, but again, they're all going to need to establish the safety profile in addition to seeing what different psychiatric disorders they might be effective for.
Yeah, because it's like whenever when you're a kid, you're growing up, you're like, you think, and even now, I mean, the use of those drugs will just melt your brain. Like you won't have the cognitive abilities that you used to have. But in fact, and I'm sure you found this with your psilocybin, your mushroom studies, that it is able, the brain can be rewired in a really effective way to help people with PTSD. Do you find that the rewiring then is permanent for those people that go through this treatment? And are you ever in danger of reducing their cognitive abilities because of the drug?
At this point, based on phase 1, which is like, is this safe in healthy folks? Phase 2, hey, if we get people with depression, is this kind of safe in those? And then going forward with the phase 3 studies, which is what we're currently working on now. There doesn't seem to be, at least that we've seen to date in psilocybin, any significant problems from a cognitive perspective, which is really reassuring. Certainly, more data is going to be useful, and long-term use is going to be useful. But as of now, it's looking promising. That's a really interesting point about how might these medicines work specifically for the different diseases that we're looking at. So in depression, Natalie, I think you were mentioning this.
Sure.
There are specific areas in the brain that are affected, and people can get kind of stuck in these specific hubs deep down in the brain, and it's hard to kind of get unstuck from those areas and be able to use other parts of the brain that are really important for cognition, for a whole host of things. And psilocybin has this really interesting research showing that people who successfully have that treatment, they're able to use those different parts of the brain that when they're depressed, they weren't able to do. So that's a really exciting area to see if that maybe means that there is an improvement in these different maybe cognitive measures, or in decreasing the risk of future depressive episodes. Remember, the reason why we're going forward with these studies is that depression is an awful disorder. It robs people of their ability to hang out with their family, to work, to do so many different things, and that in itself is bad for the brain, right? And so if we can get some treatments that are going to be able to restore that functioning, hopefully it also promotes brain health, which obviously is good long term too.
Goodness gracious. I'm so glad you guys are doing
I know,
this
it's
study.
really amazing, isn't it, that you guys are looking back on these drugs that we thought were so harmful to help people.
People can, it's desperation sometimes at this point. If someone is looking to get more information about the studies that you guys are doing specifically with psilocybin, does Rush have a website that people can get updates about what you guys have found?
Yeah, so our center is called the Women's Board Depression Treatment Research Center. So that's something you can Google. Rush.edu is the Rush website. And then 312 942-6597 directly comes to our center so that we can get in touch with anyone who might be interested in these studies. As of now, the study that we're doing is primarily, what we're talking about here, folks who haven't really had a good response to the typical stuff that's available, the typical antidepressants. And so if the depression has not really responded to those, it's still present, looking for what other options there may be, and that's currently who we're recruiting for.
All right, Dr. Elo, thank you so much. This was very interesting, eye-opening stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much, giving so many people hope.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Seriously, this is really fun.
We'll see you again
and
very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
All right, well, coming up, we're doing a Reddit about mamas. So
Okay.
I think this is really kind of targeted to me and Nat, maybe. Maybe, we'll see. We'll be right back. 10:47, welcome back to Chicago Now. We're going to Reddit now. We're going to talk about taking pictures of your children versus with your children with this first post. So here it is. The story here talks about how this girl has pictures of when she was growing up, but all of the photos were of her and her sibling or with her dad, but she never had pictures of her mom with her. And so she was just saying she wishes that her mom had taken photos with her kids in the picture too to look back on, because she just loves her mom so much. And it's very sweet, but it's true. And I found myself just recently trying to take selfies with me and the kids, like literally in the past week, because just like this mom did, I never do that. I always take pictures of the kids by themselves. Do you ever find that with you and Olive?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, and I was actually, I'm trying to hire a new babysitter, and so I like to send like, oh, here's a picture of our family, so you know we're not crazy. And like, I had trouble on my phone finding a recent picture of the three of us together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And but I do, like, I'll take like when we went to the NASCAR race this weekend, I took a picture of my husband with my daughter, and then I had him take a picture of the two of us together, you know?
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, just so she has that, I guess. But yeah, and I appreciate where this woman is coming from, because she said her mother had some body issues, and when she was younger didn't want to be in some of the photos. And I think there are a lot of parents out there that can relate to that.
Just take the picture. Take the picture.
Yeah. Even if you're not going to post it, I mean, you don't have to post it online, but at least have the memory, and that way, you know, your kids can look back on it.
When my parents come to visit, my mom always is taking pictures, but I'm in the pictures, which is funny because I'm her kid. So maybe that's what it is. She wants to take pictures because I'm her kid, and then I have all these
Oh,
photos
right.
and videos of me interacting with my kids because of my mom. But it's funny because I only get those when my parents are visiting. And
Right.
she'll send me all the pictures from like the weekend when they're there, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there I am. It's a weird perspective to see yourself in your world. Do you know what I mean with the kids because it's so busy? So
Yeah.
maybe this is just a good reminder. Your kids might want more pictures of you.
Of course.
Down the road.
They would want to see that. Yes, I
if-
love the pictures of me and my mom and my dad, you know.
Yeah.
Rarely was it the three of us, you know, unless we
Yeah.
went to Olin Mills for like a photo session.
Right.
Like
little
a
harder back then
professional.
to take a
Right,
selfie.
right.
Okay, so our next Reddit post is, how did you change after having kids? So this one, I didn't actually get the opportunity to read through. Did you read it through yet?
I did,
Okay.
and I have a lot of thoughts about this, but anyway, did you become a better person? Are you the same person, or are you a worse person because of your kids? And so that's kind of, and a lot of people said like, well, I felt like I was always born to be a mom, and so I feel like I'm a better person. I don't know.
Just as like a member of society?
Yeah, I think so. And just I guess your self-esteem level as well. Like, do you feel like you're a better person? You know?
I feel like a different person. I 100% feel like a completely different person. But I also think that comes with just getting older.
Yes, and many people said that as well.
So, you start having babies, most people in their 20s. So you are a child in your 20s. So then when you get to that middle to late 20s and your 30s, you're just becoming an adult. So I think that might be the big difference too, is before you have kids, you're a kid. Then after you have kids, you kind of grow up. But I think that kind of happens to everybody.
Except for me, because I was 38 when I had Olive.
Do you feel like a different person?
No, I don't. I mean, I think I don't do as much with my friends.
Yeah.
But I don't think doing things with my friends like ever really defined me.
Yeah.
Like I am a good friend. Like I'll make the call, give the birthday gift, send the handwritten
you still
cards.
do.
Yeah, and I still do. I think that it made me more tolerant and I'm able to see the world in a different way because I have to explain so many things. I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. How am I going to explain that? You know?
Okay.
But I guess it just made me look at things differently. But I don't think it changed me. I still feel like I'm the same person, and I don't define myself, even though I talk about my Olive a lot on the news.
Yeah.
I feel like
You have
that
your
doesn't
own
define
identity?
me. Like being a mother doesn't define me.
And I feel the opposite. I do. I feel like being a mom does define me. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Everybody is so different. Like when I don't even view myself as like a news person or a meteorologist. Like when I think about me as a person, I'm just mom. Maybe that'll change as the kids get bigger, and then you find yourself again.
But I think that's a good point too for people who don't have children or just anyone in general. A lot of people define themselves by the career they have.
Yeah.
And
I'm a chef.
that's another way, right?
I'm a doctor. Yeah. Interesting. How would you identify yourself? A Natalie Baumke.
I don't know. I think I'm kind of quirky.
Yeah.
I like to kind of say what's on my mind, but not offensively.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to be a good friend. I think like the most fulfillment I get is like friendship and like knowing that whenever I leave somebody that they feel good.
Yeah.
Or they don't feel stressed out,
Oh, it's true. That's true.
Oh, good.
I think that, well, maybe this is it too. I do feel like I identify as mom because my world right now is so chaotic that, like we were talking earlier about being late to things and how you set things out the night before. I don't even have the capacity to do that.
Okay.
Like that's my level where I'm at right now. I'm like, is everybody, is anybody choking? Is anybody crying? Everyone's okay, then we're doing good. Like that's like my brain level right when I get home is but that's just where I'm at right now. I do think that you go through ebbs and flows, and I think,
I'm still laughing at this, anyone choking. But it's true though.
Really, like
do you have something in your mouth that should not be in your mouth?
I don't have the capacity for anything else except are they alive? Like I don't even hear my kids unless they're screaming. Like, oh gosh, okay, wait, one of them's not okay. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And we'll end on that note. No, I'm joking. We've got more after the commercial break.
We'll be back. Just about 10:57. We have a few more minutes with you, and so we want to share you a funny little meme that was found. Jenna, did you find this? All right, what is it? Let's see. When a parent tells me that their kid is an angel, whispering, "So was Lucifer." Yeah. How do you feel about this?
I don't know that anyone has ever said to me, "My kid is an angel." I don't know. What I see is the kid can do no wrong when they've done wrong, you know? And okay, your kid is kind of a terror, but there's no acknowledgement of that. It's not like my kid's an angel. It's like I visually see that your child is the devil and there's no repercussions.
Yeah. I will tell you that Birdie is an angel. Birdie is an angel. Darcy
is the Antichrist. No, she's not.
She's cuter than heck.
Yeah, no, she's not that bad.
No, but yeah, I do think that I've got my kids have different personalities, all three of them. But I do think Birdie is my firstborn. She is pure as anything, you guys. She's
a mini Caitlin.
If you look at her sideways, she would cry.
Okay.
So, but yeah, but no, I see your point too. When parents sometimes think that their kids can do no wrong and they are doing wrong and then they defend their actions, so frustrating. Acknowledge it. And nobody's perfect. We're all human.
That's right, Caitlin.
Do you know what I mean?
Except for you and Birdie.
Birdie. I didn't say me. Birdie. Birdie is sweet. And Olive is so stinking sweet too.
She has her moments.
Yeah.
She has her moments.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to tee it off to our sisters in action here. They're going to step on in. Tia and Justine for the 11 o'clock edition of Chicago Now.
Don't go anywhere.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're back for day 2.
Yes, we are.
Chicago Now. How you doing, Tia?
I'm surviving, you know. Yeah. It's been a like crazy morning. My daughter started a new school this morning, so making sure she didn't cry when she got there, and she was all good. I was like, okay.
Was she excited?
She was excited. She was like, see you, Mom. So I was like, all right. And I just peeled out the parking lot pretty fast.
I love that. Is she great at meeting friends and making friends?
She's a shy one, but she's a diva. She likes hair, nails, outfits, all that stuff. Singing. She's a girl's girl.
I love that. So when you guys get ready in the morning, do you make her breakfast? Do you guys go through that McDonald's drive-thru?
We have gone through McDonald's. I try to stay away from McDonald's as much as possible, but if you're a mom, you end up at McDonald's at some point in your life. So,
right. Well, speaking of McDonald's, we'll be talking about that today.
Okay.
McDonald's just came out with a new sandwich. They wanted to spice things up. So we'll see what they just started. And then we've also got a financial expert joining us to talk about buy now, regret later, the new trend. And then also Chicago's strangest bar scene. Have you gone to any strange bars in Chicago?
Yeah, no, I don't drink.
Okay.
I'm lame like that. Like, so if I, I think it's because of our business too. You know, you don't want to be seen out drinking publicly, throwing 5 back. So I don't really go to the bars, but I know Chicago has some pretty cool bars.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm excited to talk to them and see what they think is strange.
Yeah.
So back to this McDonald's thing.
Let's talk
McDonald's
about
had a new announcement today.
What is it?
They came out with a spicy McMuffin. Apparently, Gen Z absolutely loves spicy things, so they wanted to tap into that trend.
I find that interesting. I mean, I guess it's like heartburn as soon as you wake up. You know, I don't know how I feel about it. I guess I would have to taste it.
Well,
see.
Y'all know I come prepared. We have a spicy McMuffin we're gonna try.
Okay, and this is the sausage version.
This is the sausage McMuffin with egg.
So is it the sauce or is it nestled into the sausage that makes it spicy?
So actually, they don't have these out yet on the menu at the McDonald's here
you got
in our
the
location. I told them, you know, get us together. So it is the sauce.
It's the
She
sauce,
said it's the sauce.
Can you guys see that? It's a little sauce
It's a little
right there on
spicy
now.
sauce
It's hard
on
to
the
see on
bottom.
camera. Okay, let's bite in, I guess. This will be my breakfast of champions. Ooh.
That's spicy.
We got some water? I'm gonna need some, that is spicy.
That's a little kick in the morning.
You gonna have to talk. That is a kick.
Girl,
I like it.
I like it. I don't know if I want that right early in the morning, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. That might have to wait for a different time. I could see it being great with some fries.
I was kidding, but
they're getting us water. They love us.
It's not what I expected.
No, it's not bad at all. I actually really enjoy it. Just, I don't know if I want that in the morning. I like a little jelly. I like something sweet. Do you have a favorite McDonald's item?
Yes, because my daughter has a favorite McDonald's item, and so does my husband. So of course, the pancakes.
Okay.
Period. Pancakes and a side of sausage. That's it. I gotta put my lip gloss back on, y'all. I'm not even gonna pretend.
My favorite thing at
What's
McDonald's,
your favorite?
I love a good French fry.
Okay.
I think McDonald's has one of the best fries.
They do well with the fries.
I like the salt. I think it's
Do you
great.
dip them in the sweet and sour? That's what I do when I get their fries.
Absolutely.
It's something
Are we
about
twins?
the sweet and the salt. Baby, twin, where have you been?
Right.
It's something about the sweet and sour.
Yeah,
together
I love
and
it.
the salt.
Yeah, super good. So the next thing that's trending
What
right
else is
now,
going on?
Amazon Prime Day.
Oh boy.
Today starts Amazon Prime
Wait
Day.
a minute. Did we say we got somebody talking finances on the show too?
Right.
So we talking Amazon Prime where people spend their money, and then we're gonna have somebody talk about being fiscally irresponsible.
And that's
Interesting
exactly
theory.
what most people are. They're physically irresponsible during Prime Day. People are shopping on trends. They've been stacking up what they're gonna get. Right now, the #1 search thing is the Oura Ring. If you're not familiar,
Is that
it's
the
like
one
a
that
ring
tracks
that it tracks all of your health stuff.
Okay.
It was originally $256. It's dropped down 15%. So people are already searching for those deals.
15%.
15%.
That's no deal.
What would you say is a deal? What
I
price
mean,
would
for
you-
me to pull out my wallet, you got to at least, because let's be honest, some of these companies are lying anyway because they're going to say, 50% off, when really that's how much it's worth or less. Otherwise, you wouldn't put it on discount. Not that I'm the financial expert. But I think for me, in order for me to buy something and you tout it as a deal, it's got to be like 30% or more.
I was gonna say, for me, it has to be 50% off. For me to say, I'm gonna spend
my money,
it has to be 50% off. Now, a lot of times people say that Amazon marks up the prices a few days or weeks ahead, so that when it comes around, you're like, oh, this is a good deal. I'm not sure, that's not confirmed. I'm not sure if they actually do that, but I could, you kind of have to monitor that.
Have you bought anything?
I have quite a few things in my cart. Actually,
but have you checked out anything?
Not yet, because before the show, I was looking at some deals, and I really like them, but it takes me a long time to purchase.
Don't ask me what I bought.
What did you buy already? What did you buy?
Something stupid. I bought weed killer. Okay, when you get old, you got like your list of things that you need are different. Weed killer is what I bought off Amazon for Prime Day so far.
I love getting essentials. I feel like that's the best thing. Buy the essentials that you know you're going to buy anyway, and just get them for a little discount.
I hope it works. I hope the discount is not in the product. I need it to really kill the weeds. I'm just saying, you never know.
Right, you never know. What is the most ridiculous thing that you think you've bought?
On Amazon? I don't know. I guess I could go look at my cart. What's the most, while you're telling me yours, let's go look in my cart, my past history, and I'll be honest about it.
I don't really have a lot of things that I think is ridiculous that I'm buying. Like we said yesterday, I know what I want. I'm going to take my time buying it, and it's going to be practical items.
Yeah. So, okay, so the most, okay, I'm going to be honest. Okay, it says I bought 32 feet tape with adhesive back. Look, this is what it says. You see, I bought a whole lot of stuff, waist trainer too. But look, 32 feet of tape with adhesive back.
And what did you use with that?
So I wanted to put up like a decal in my house, and I needed the adhesive, for it to be the adhesive back where it's like it sticks. But I didn't realize I bought 32 feet of it. So I only needed 5 inches of it.
Right.
I got feet.
But did you get it for a good deal? That's what matters.
It was $7.99. So yeah, so I figure, well, heck, I might need some more down the road. So that's probably the dumbest thing I've purchased on Amazon.
Okay, I think Amazon is so great because there's so many things on there that you never knew you needed.
It's true.
That you never knew you needed.
But you shouldn't go on there late at night.
That
is no, because you're just gonna be clicking and no. Go to sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. Next thing that's trending. So if you
trending?
saw yesterday, TSA no longer is requiring you to remove your shoes. So they are saying that the only time you have to remove your shoes is if you trigger the alarm. They're hoping that it gets people through the lines quicker and makes it a more efficient process. Thoughts?
Well, I always thought it was nasty, to be honest, because people forget that they have to take off their shoes. And then now I took off my shoes, and already 200 people ahead of me have taken off their shoes. So now I'm walking in their foot jam. Like, that's disgusting. Like, I'm surprised, like, from a medical standpoint and germ standpoint, that nobody thought about this sooner. Like, think about how nasty that is. And not everybody wears socks.
I was going to say, do you wear socks knowing that you're going to have to take your shoes off?
Well, I'll be honest. I did. Well, I didn't because I'm cheap. But my husband did sign us up for Clear. So if you have Clear and you already have TSA pre-check, they don't make you take your shoes off.
Right.
So I haven't taken my shoes off in a little while, but in some places, if you have to take your shoes off, which I have, sometimes you forget about the socks.
I do this thing where...
Do you wear socks in your tennis shoes?
I do wear socks
in my
tennis
I
shoes.
don't, so
I
that's my
almost
problem.
always have socks on.
Okay.
But if for some reason I'm wearing sandals or flip-flops and I have to take my shoes off, I do this thing where I'm like walking on my heels.
That's not changing nothing.
But you know what? I'm thinking the germs are only going to stick to the bottom of my heels. I know.
Germs
crazy.
spread, Justine.
Right. You know what?
So now it's on the big toe, the baby toe.
In my mind, it works. I know it's not real, but that's why I keep my socks on. I always have my socks on.
I'm not gonna say where I was at, but I was in another country, and I had to take my shoes off, and I watched, seriously, people from around the world had to take their shoes off, and it was hot. So you're not wearing socks, right? You're not wearing. And I mean, some of the feet, I was like, Lord, where is the go get a pedicure. But I had to walk behind it. And I was like, TSA, we got to do better. I mean, what could you be hiding in your big toe?
That is very true.
I guess unless it's really big, you could hide something in it. But what are you going to hide that could ruin all of our day on the plane?
You might be able to tape something to the bottom of your feet.
But we'd see it. So I never really understood the whole, I guess you could hide something in the shoe.
Right. Okay.
So I'll give them that. Okay.
What is your go-to travel outfit?
My husband's big pants his jogging pants and a t-shirt. I mean, I see people walking through the airport in heels. I've tried that. I tried to be cute. You cannot, when they switch that gate on you and you got on a high heel, you're never gonna make it.
Yeah, you're
so
never.
I'm not going to be cute. I'm going to travel and hope that the plane lands safely, because that's been a whole nother issue lately.
Could you do jeans to the airport?
It doesn't feel comfortable sitting in those seats with jeans the whole time. I'm not wearing my best to sit where everybody else's butt has been already.
I agree.
I don't need to be fly. Like, I just need to be comfortable.
You just need to fly.
What about you?
I don't wear uncomfortable stuff to the airport. I'm always in a hoodie. Even here, I'm always in a hoodie, some leggings, something real chill. I want to be comfy.
Just don't wear your PJs, because that bothers my soul.
Right.
Like, that needs to stay at home.
Do not leave the house with the bonnet on and, the PJs.
I got to ask you this, and I know it's not on our list of things to talk about, but if you have to use the bathroom, right?
Here we go.
and you get on the plane, right? Because it's happened to me where, like, I've waited and waited to board this plane, that all of a sudden, now that we're boarding, I got to use the restroom. Are you the one that waits until the plane is in the air, or do you go before everybody else has hit up the bathroom?
I use the bathroom before I get on the plane.
So you've never used it?
Under no circumstance
on the plane.
am I using the bathroom.
You've never done it?
Not since I was a kid, when my mom was taking
Girl,
us
what kind of bladder you got?
You know what? I just think smart. I'm telling you, Tia, I'm not going to drink a lot on the plane, so I'm not taking the free Canada drives. I'm not taking any of that.
You wearing a diaper. You're not being honest, because it is absolutely no way.
No. Okay, if I go on an international flight and I use the bathroom,
I'm saying.
Okay, and it's a long flight. It has to be a long flight.
Are you the first person to use the bathroom?
Right, get me back on track.
That was the question.
I am using the bathroom midair. When most people are asleep,
I'm first.
Is it because you don't want
I do not want to go, but no, it's not that. I just can look at a passenger and tell what kind of experience they're going to have in the bathroom, and I don't want to have that experience with them.
Right.
So I go first.
Okay. That's smart. Yeah. Beat them to the punch.
Yeah, well, I'm not beating them to the punch, because I'm not doing that on the plane. But if I have to go, I'm going to twinkle, and then I'm gonna move on. But I don't want to be behind the person, because I've sat on planes where I watched somebody have a whole burrito that they got from Chipotle at the airport, and now they run into the bathroom. No, that's why I go first.
So, okay, 2 questions.
I'm sorry to derail the show.
Are you the person that brings food on the plane?
No.
Are you bringing a seafood boil? Not too long ago, there was a viral video of a woman who brought an entire seafood boil on the plane.
We don't want to smell that, and we don't want to hear you smacking and licking your fingers. And I don't care what you say, it's not enough sanitation on that plane for you to thoroughly clean your hands and stuff. No, and I think it's rude. I do. I think it's rude to open up your Chicago-style hot dog on the plane, and now everybody got to smell it.
Right. That's very true.
And it sticks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so no, I'm not that person. And I'm going to the bathroom first. I'm going to the bathroom first.
What do you think makes plane rides and travel the least stress?
The least stress. Okay, so I'm sorry, parents, and I have kids. I'm going to say this, I have 5 of them. But I think that having whiny kids on the plane makes it stressful. So bring something for them so that it's not stressful for anybody. And the thing is, it's not like I'm not annoyed because I'm a parent. Mm-hmm. It's more like I want to help. I want to go to seat 25. Where is she? So I can, rock the baby.
Right.
So I think if you're a parent, the thing that you can do to reduce stress is to make sure that your kids have everything they need on the flight.
What is something that you bring for your daughter? Do you bring coloring
books?
Okay.
I bring the little window gadgets, that go around and around. But my daughter is a sleeper on the plane so far. Praise the Lord. But yeah, I've had the unfortunate experience of sitting behind, especially if you're a new parent, and you don't really, maybe this is your first or second flight with your kid. You don't know what kind of experience they're going to have, because you can't dictate how a child will react.
Right.
So it's tough, so that's what I have found to make it less stressful for me and everybody else.
For me, I always have to have a pair of headphones, like the big noise canceling ones. I think that's the easiest way, so I don't have to worry about kids crying. I don't have to worry about other people with loud music or watching movies. That's just the easiest way that I know I can control.
What do you think about the passenger that sits next to you? Maybe you haven't had put those headphones on yet, and they want to talk to you about their whole life story. What do?
I love those
you
moments.
You do?
I love those moments. I love talking to people. I love hearing their story, where they're going. I want to be in your business. I want to know how many friends you're going on this trip with. I want to know everything.
I will admit that I'm the person, if you're texting next to me, I read your text. You're close enough. So literally, if you're texting next to me, I see everything you're sending that side girlfriend.
You don't feel like they need a little bit of privacy?
Nope. You're sitting next to me texting. I'm reading it.
What's the craziest thing you've seen?
Somebody that had a side girlfriend. We'll talk about that after the break. We got to go to break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We got to talk about really your finances and trying to be fiscally responsible. And here to talk to us more about this new trend of buy now, pay later is Erica Sandberg. She is a consumer finance expert. Thank you so much for being with us, Erica.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk about this. You know, a lot of younger people are leaning in. You know, basically, it's the new way of having layaway, except for you get the items first and then you pay later. What would you say is the biggest mistake that people make by going into these essential contracts?
I would say the biggest mistake right now is to layer them. You have so many going on at once that great deal where you're able to chop up a payment into 4 different installments sounds so affordable. But when you have not just 1, not just 2, but 3 or 4 happening all at the same time, and suddenly you're paying a lot for the things that you want that you really probably should have saved for, using cash in your account, or sometimes even using a credit card, because those payments can be quite substantial.
So why do people choose to use this method instead of using cash?
Super easy. So for example, they typically only require soft credit pull. So they're not going to go into your credit score and credit report and do a big analysis or anything. They'll just take a quick look, see if you can afford those monthly payments, and then you're off to the races. So it's available on almost everything now. So it could be from flights to clothes to QVC, it doesn't matter. Everybody is offering concert tickets, food. So it's pervasive, it's available, and people are taking advantage of it.
You know, Erica, you mentioned using your credit card if you can, or using cash. At least with your credit card, if you pay it down or pay it off, you do get some benefit in terms of your credit. With these buy now, pay later, is there any benefit to your credit? Do you see, because you did say it's a soft, essentially, it looks at the soft side of your credit. Do you get any benefits from it?
Yeah, that's right. So you're actually losing the benefits that you would get from your credit card, which is points and consumer protection and credit building. Buy now, pay later plans just recently are being added to credit reports. Therefore, they're going to be included in credit scores. So that's a good thing. But in the past, no, you did not get any credit for using these plans responsibly. So, okay, some good news is on the horizon, but it also could be bad news if you do misuse them, you miss payments, or you get into extra debt that you can't afford.
So
be careful.
I always see little ads online about these services. How much of a role do you think social media plays in influencing people to use these online services?
A huge role. I mean, these are traditionally used by people who are just starting off with credit. Maybe they're young, right? This is their first real foray into borrowing money. And so they're really attractive to younger consumers, Gen Z. They're really being marketed to them. So it's super attractive. It's also really attractive to people who've got not so great credit. So they don't have a credit card because they've had some past credit problems. So it's being marketed to them as well. Like, here's an alternative, which can be terrific. I'm going to kind of back away for a moment. They can be excellent, but you have to use them to your advantage because they can easily be misused.
You know, Erica, I'm from the generation of Kmart Venture back in the day. When my mother couldn't afford Christmas, I remember her setting up the layaway at those places, and then come Christmas Day, those items would be under the Christmas tree. There are people, I'm sure, that are using these services in that way. What is the benefit, if any? Are there any benefits to using some of these services?
So I love the comparison between the buy now, pay later plans to layaway, traditional layaway, just like your mom, just like my mom did too. You put money down and then you slowly build toward that purchase. Buy now, pay later plans, you get the stuff right away and then you pay. So it's got a real different emotional feeling to it where you're still taking out a loan as opposed to kind of preparing for that purchase. So it's really different in that way. Hey, listen, I remember green stamps. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I remember my mom holding green stamp packets. There are all different kind of ways that you can save for that purchase. I would say use cash if you can, even though a lot of these plans do not have interest added to it, but some do. So you have to be really careful. Use cash if you have it. This is a really great way of managing money. Think about what you want, plan for it, prepare for it, and pay as absolute least as you possibly can.
Erica, what would you say is the best budget or saving tip that you have for people?
Look at your budget, know how much you have coming in and going out, and having a really great slush fund, because I'm all about impulse shopping. I do not tell people not to impulse shop. We all do it, accept it, love it, but kind of have that little extra that you know that you have just for anything that comes up that sounds really great. Don't try and pretend that you can all fit within these super tight boundaries. We don't do it. We go into the department store or a street fair or something. We're going to buy something. So just kind of think. You want a real flexible budget that works for you so you don't get into debt.
You know, Erica, some of these companies have reported that essentially so many people have not paid off their debts that they're going to start looking at credit. What happens to a person if they do decide to go into this contract and they don't pay?
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem because those late payments are going to be reported. Delinquencies are the most important negative scoring factor. So paying on time is going to help you. Paying late is going to be a big problem. So really schedule in advance, make sure, and most of these, it comes out of your account anyway. So you have to make sure that you have the cash in your checking or savings account where it's being drawn fund, that you have enough in there. Otherwise, it's going to show up as a late payment if you are more than 30 days late.
So right now, today started Amazon Prime Day. We talked about that earlier. Is there any tips that you can give people if they want to buy something for Prime, maybe they haven't saved for it? Do we use these items like Klarna and online play services? Do we just wait and just miss out on the deal? What would you suggest?
Yeah, Amazon Prime Day can be great. It should be say Amazon Prime Days, because it's not just one day, it's a few. It's the 8th through the 11th. And this is a time where you can get the fabulous deals that Amazon is offering big discounts if you are a Prime member. And if you're not, you can join as a free trial period, and that's fine. You could take advantage of it at that stage. But yeah, I mean, take a look at the different deals that are available. Do they fit your budget? Is it something that you really want or need, or it's just super appealing because it just happens to be on sale? We have to really take a look at that, because it's also super easy to go, gosh, that sounds really great, but do I, does it really fit your lifestyle? Is it something that's really necessary? So stop and think, add things to your cart, and then step back. Take a moment, breathe, have a cup of coffee, and then return to your cart. It'll still be there.
Erica, real quick, what would you say is something that young people now can invest in, even older people that can invest in it now, and it will have benefits long term?
Invest in terms of investments?
Yes, or buying something that will have a reward.
Wonderful. Right now, high yield savings accounts, they're safe. You have, some of them are offering 5% APR. That is enormous. They're totally liquid, and they're so easy to open, almost no risk. In fact, there is no risk. So I would say take a look at that. If you've got a bulk of money and you want to set it aside for a while, 5%, it's hard to beat that.
Is it still impactful if you put a small amount of money or a smaller amount of money into a high yield savings account?
No, it's certainly not going to be a little tiny amount. But I mean, I can just say from my daughter, who's 22, she saved up a few $1,000s, and she's opening up a high yield savings account. It's going to work to her advantage. It also and here's something super important. It gets you into that mindset, right? You are establishing a really good habit. Save money, get a bulk of cash, set it aside into something that's going to work to your advantage. And you keep that going, you keep that pattern up, you're going to be in really good shape. So it's just a different way of approaching your finances, where you're looking ahead and you're making sure it's safe, but also that you're getting something in return. We know the traditional savings account was just, you're not getting anything. So why not take advantage of what's out there?
Erica, a final question for you. Someone that's watching right now, maybe they want to get in contact with you. Maybe they want to follow some of your advice tips. Where can they go?
Certainly, you can find me on Card Rates. You can find me there, but you can also look me up, Erica Sandberg, Erica J. Sandberg on Twitter. I'm usually out and about. But yeah, feel free, Erica Sandberg.
Everywhere.
Google me. My email is there.
All right, Erica Sandberg, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for all of your tips.
Thank you, ladies. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Well, maybe you haven't felt lucky in terms of financial freedom and getting money and buying everything that you want. We have some ways that you may be a little lucky if you go to the lottery store.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we'll have that coming up.
The time is 11:31. Welcome back to Chicago Now. Tia, do you ever feel lucky?
I would say some days luckier than others, but not really. Not really.
I feel like I'm so lucky to
be. You?
I wake up lucky. I wake
up
well,
happy. Let me get some of that, girl.
There you go. There you go.
Don't call HR. Rubbing up your arm.
Well, look, a new data analyzed for more than 20 years found out that some cities might be luckier than others when it comes to the lottery.
Okay.
And here's the twist: where you buy your ticket really matters.
I can believe that because we have reported on certain location stores and whatnot that continuously have, unless they rigging it somehow, child, they continuously have winners. So it's got to be some. See, I don't know. Luck is a hard thing when you are a religious person. It's hard to say luck, because growing up they teach you miracles and blessings. So it's hard to really grasp that concept. But I can see, luck. I can understand being lucky.
Based on this data, so there is a Speedway in Des Plaines, which is the luckiest lottery store in the entire state, with over 1.3 billion winning tickets sold.
Man,
$1.3 billion in winning tickets sold.
So let me give you a tip right now. So really the tip is to find the owner, and if he's single, that's really who you need to be looking after because they get a nice chunk of change.
How much do they make off of that?
I don't know all the numbers, but if you said a billion, which is what it says, 1.3 billion. You need to go find him, see if he's single. I'm just saying that's how you get lucky.
Right, that's smart. Right, you got to take charge of your luck.
1.3 billion. That's a lot of tickets that have obviously been high value, right? So that is a plus. And I looked it up in break because I was like, I can't remember how far Des Plaines is. I know I have some family that have lived in that area, and actually some of my family still do. But from where we are right now, at least with traffic, about 39 miles.
Would you drive that way?
Or 39 minutes. So yeah, I would drive there for a ticket. And if I was single, I'd really be heading that way for a ticket to see who the owner of, what's the name of the place? Display. Oh,
it's the Speedway. It's the Speedway.
That's a corporate thing. You got to go find a CEO. That's a good one too. I'm just giving love advice. You know
what?
Come here for love advice. A little occasional tips and tricks.
When you play the lottery, is there a certain scratch off or anything that you do?
I just go in there, when it's the big craze about the Mega Millions and Powerball and stuff like that, I just play randomly, and I never win. But I mean, it's always fun to see other people win and then they don't have to come into work anymore. And I'm thinking, why didn't that ticket find me? And I'm angry and jealous, but I move on and I come back the next day, and that's why I still work here.
I love that. I feel like for me, I always do the scratch offs. Those are the easiest.
And they have been hitting too.
They have been hitting. And I think a lot of the times people think unless you guess those numbers, you're not going to win. But studies have shown that also works.
Listen, Justine is always optimistic, so we got to ask the question: have you won anything, Justine? You bet not say no.
I have never won, but look, get this. I'm putting my daddy business out on here. But my dad won $150,000 in the lottery 2 years ago.
We need to be talking to daddy.
2 years ago, my dad plays religiously. He's always playing the lottery.
Was this scratch off or was this the
actual? The Mega Millions.
Oh, pretty good.
Yes, pretty good. And he always tells me, oh, it's gonna hit one day. It's gonna hit. On his birthday 2 years ago, he calls me. He's like, oh, I'm having such a great birthday. Before I could even call him. Turns out he ended up winning.
So the next time he wins, you guys get it now. If you're looking for a job, apply on fox32chicago.com because Justine won't be here.
I'll be out there.
Because if he hit 150, that means the next time we talking millions.
Right.
So that's good.
According to him.
This is good.
According to him.
It's a good sign, Justine. You 1 foot out the door right now.
So another thing about this store,
yes.
It ranks number 8 in the entire country.
Wow.
62,000 lottery retailers.
That's impressive.
It ranks number 8.
I think one thing about the lottery, one thing that I will say, I know I joke a lot on the show, but in all seriousness, sometimes just playing keeps the mood up because then you're talking to other people, and especially when it's like the big games, and then you're talking to random people in line, you're talking to your coworkers, like what would you do if you won, Justine?
How much money? I was gonna say, how much money am I winning?
Let's say $2 million. What would you do?
Oh, $2 million.
What would be the number one thing Justine would buy?
Number one thing I would buy? I would buy a house for my entire family. I want one of those family compounds that everyone can live on. I have 2 sisters.
And you're a twin.
We're triplets.
Triplets, that's right.
We're very close. I would love to be even closer. If everyone had a nice big house, No reason to leave. I also love to farm. I love gardening. I love farming. That's how I grew up.
You know, I got a question.
A big old farm, big house.
So the triplets, was that natural?
Yes, it runs.
That's crazy.
I know, right? It runs in the family. It runs in the family.
So you have other sets of triplets?
There's other twins. We're the only triplets. There's 11 sets of twins in the family. So a pretty big family.
That's impressive. You got to go to Twinsburg, Ohio and do the twin thing. You know, they have a big twin convention weekend something. I don't know. I'm not a twin. But I have twins in my family too. And so that's a big deal.
You don't see triplets often, so I've never seen any triplet conventions. But I definitely would do the twin thing, but one of my sisters would be left out. So I can't leave her out. And we don't look alike, so we didn't trick people in high school.
If they all look like you, y'all was killing these guys when y'all was growing up, because Justine is beautiful. Again, I'm not trying to get an HR. I just acknowledge beauty when I see it. So, but yeah, that's impressive. You'd have a family compound.
Yeah, what about you? What would you want to do?
This is exactly what I would do. I'd be gone.
You'd be gone.
I would be watching Fox 32 from my house.
So when you leave and when you get off the show, what are you doing next? Are you going on a vacation?
Nope. I'm going to be right at home watching everybody go to work. And I'm actually, you know what I would do? I would sit in my driveway with a big cigar and just watch everybody go to work and have a nice little coaster there with a nice glass of champagne in the morning. And I'd be like, see you, Jeff. See you, Jane. Have a great day at work. And when they come back, I'd be still sitting in my same seat. That's what I would do for a couple of weeks.
I love that.
Just to piss people off. No, I'm kidding.
No, I think
I'm kidding. I would honestly probably go get a boat.
Okay.
And just live on the water. I like being on the water, so I would do something on the water.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your dream vacation?
Dream vacation. I've already done it. Actually, I went to Egypt, and that was a dream vacation. Actually, after that kind of long flight, I'm good.
So,
I've done it.
So you don't need lottery money. You're good right now.
No, I need lottery money. I need it. Yeah, I don't want to, you know, I love what I do. So I'm not going to say I wouldn't do this, but I think it's something about not having to worry about where your money comes from, you know? Yeah. No, I'm not rich, Justine. I ain't hit $150,000 in lottery. No.
You know, would you take the money in large lump sums?
No, I would help people.
Okay.
I would do that. I would drive around sometimes and just throw money out my window at people. No, I would. I think that, yeah, especially like working class people. I would go into some of our hardest hit communities. You know, that's where I grew up. I grew up in Inglewood, Morgan Park. So I know how hard it is to like get up in the morning, go to work. You know, I caught a bus, a train, and a bus to get to high school every day. So I know how tough those circumstances are. So yeah, some days I will roll through the neighborhoods and just throw money out. Yeah, I would do that to people.
That's incredible.
And I wouldn't come here every day.
You'd be throwing out money. At least you're throwing out money. You're helping people.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. It's so important to give back when you do have more.
I still would come to work. I make some people upset. I have so much money. I just come in with a different attitude. Everything about me would just be different and nobody would like me anymore.
Something online people always ask, what besides not showing up to work, what's one thing people will tell you got money?
I don't know. I think I would have every day I would have a different car.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I would come to work though. I'm just playing. I love my job, so I would come to work. But I would have a different car literally my car would match my outfit. So this red dress, I would have had a red car today.
Ooh, is there? I absolutely love that.
Corvette today.
A red Corvette.
Lamborghini, yellow tomorrow. Blue Ferrari the next day. Yeah, I'd jump out my car and you'd be like, oh, she matching her car. Yeah, I'd be that person.
I think that I probably would just be traveling. I'm a very low maintenance type of girl.
What you trying to say? I'm not low maintenance, Justine?
Girl, I didn't say that. You did. But I love a good trip. I love a vacation. I love to relax.
I love how you are, Justine. I wish I was more like you.
So that is what we were talking about coming up.
What we got coming up, Justine? Because I don't follow. I just be all over the place.
You know what? Coming up, we're going to be talking about the Strange Bar Sundays. It's an Instagram account that goes through and sees all the craziest cool bars in Chicago.
Okay.
So we got that coming up for you right after the break.
Welcome back. We are talking all things strange, especially strange bars in Chicago. And joining us now is Lindsay Rice, a reporter with Block Club Chicago, who wrote up an article all about this. Lindsay, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about this. Strange bars in Chicago. There must be a lot of them. Talk about the Instagram account.
There are tons of them. Chicago has no shortage of funky, different neighborhood bars, taverns, clubs, and the Instagram account Strange Bar Sunday documents a lot of these places. So they talk all about what the place looks like, what the clientele is like, and kind of give a little history to it. And it's awesome to follow. They've been doing it for 10 years now. So they've covered, by their estimate, about 1,000 bars in Chicago or in the Chicago area at this point.
So you said it started about 10 years ago. How did this start?
Well, like many of us, it started with the intention of going out to run errands, and then something kind of catches your eye and pulls you off the track. So they were driving around Avondale one day in 2014, just with the intention of doing a couple things around town, and they saw one of those great old vintage neon signs. It caught their eye, and it was for the Podlassie Club, and they went inside, had a pint, and when they left, there was another bar like right down the block, and they went there. They thought, what the heck, we'll go to that one too. So that was kind of the beginning of their tradition. Every Sunday they started going to a different bar.
So Lindsay, what defines a strange bar, and what are some of the strangest bars that have been uncovered?
Well, a strange bar, it can really have a wide definition. I know we shared this story yesterday for National Dive Bar Day, and what these guys had to say about strange bars was that a dive bar is not always a strange bar, and a strange bar is not always a dive bar. So I thought that was really interesting, but it really has to do with each individual place and kind of what goes on there. You know, maybe it's like a bartender with a very quirky personality, or an event that they have, or it's, location. So it could be any number of things that, as they say, is on the spectrum of strange. And some of the bars that have been uncovered, I mean, they have covered so many. Personally, I love L&L Tavern in Lakeview. That's kind of a classic Chicago strange bar, and it's also a dive bar. I know that they've covered that one, and also Double Bubble in Edgewater. That's actually a far north side Sox bar, and it has a great turquoise tile facade. So those are just two examples of many, many strange bars in Chicago.
So what do you think sets Chicago apart from the strange bars? There's so many different strange bars in the U.S. How do you think Chicago is different?
The thing that they pointed out was that, one, the old style signs. That's something that I think we all know, we all recognize. When you see an old style sign outside a bar, you know, like, this is an established place where people are drinking regularly, and this is like the neighborhood place to be. And then they also noted that in Chicago, people are willing to talk to you, and that they have not found that same experience in every big city. So, you know, you could pull up to one of those neighborhood bars where you see an old style sign, and the person next to you might just start chatting with you, and you could really learn a lot about the people around you that way.
Yeah, Chicagoans definitely love to talk. Lindsay, what are some of the most memorable stories that they share with you?
Oh boy. About what could we talk about on TV?
You can talk about here whatever you want, and that's the truth.
Let's say a lot of adult themes come into play. They've been invited back to people's houses for rendezvous, we'll say.
Wait a minute, wait, Lindsay. I'm not trying to interrupt. When you say they say, so the people that are documenting have been invited to go behind the scenes somewhere else other than the bar?
Yes, they've been invited to a second location.
Wow. That's direct.
the party could keep going, we'll say. They've also seen a man like spill a bag of adult toys all over the floor, which is
my goodness.
Not something you see every day at the bar, but sometimes you do. So, and also they talked about singing in the bar together as a group, Wooly Bully in Spanish, and that was a more innocent anecdote that they had, but I think it just was kind of a culmination of those small moments that just gave you kind of a slice of life into the different strange bars of Chicago.
We got to talk offline about some of the other stuff you talk about. That sounds like some good stories.
So on the Instagram page, do they talk about the experiences that they're going through or their favorite menu items? What does the Instagram show?
They kind of go through all of it, like any information that they learn, that they glean through their experience, they share. And they also encourage their followers to share their experiences as well. So it's kind of like this living document of anybody who's been there, or maybe whose parents have been there and they have a story, or, you know, whatever it is. They share those stories. They also share, you know, the drink deals that are worth noting. Just kind of any of that core information that you might want to know that could draw you in, and also that documents it at the same time.
You know, Lindsay, with COVID happening, a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars suffered as a result of it. I would think that bringing attention to a lot of these bars helps them increase business as a result. Did they tell you if they've seen certain bars have an increase in business because of them being highlighted on this social media page?
They didn't say that specifically. However, they did really speak to the value in documenting these places and visiting them, you know, being a patron there, because these are, as they describe, time capsules of kind of yesteryear and different points throughout Chicago history. And so they need us to go there to survive and to keep being that sort of little almost neighborhood museum of a watering hole. So I would expect, though, that the more exposure that they've had, and they've been doing it for 10 years, that people have probably started to go there as a result of their page, and that's only a good thing.
Absolutely.
Besides Instagram, is there anywhere else that we can follow this journey? Do they have a TikTok or Facebook for others who don't have Instagram?
I believe they do have a TikTok. So Instagram and TikTok are two good places to check them out.
All right. Well, Lindsay, you have been an absolute joy. Where can people follow you if they want to see what you're working on with Block Club Chicago?
They could go to blockclubchicago.org or blockclubchi.org. They can also follow me on X at Lindsay Rice.
All right. Perfect. Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
All right. So coming up, we got to talk about how stressed are you? Are you feeling stressed?
I feel good.
I
feel good.
You don't never have nothing like, I mean, you are the perfect person, for real.
You know what? Thank you so much. Sometimes I feel a little stressed when I've got a lot of projects going on.
Okay. Well, you fit into the category with a lot of Chicagoans, and we're going to talk about it coming up next. Stay with us. All right, welcome on back. Well, how stressed is Chicago? This is not the news that I wanted to hear, that Chicago is stressed out. But I guess the good news is I'm not in it alone.
Yeah, because Chicago is the first in the country for traffic congestion. So
I'm not surprised.
That is stressing people out. How's your commute in the morning?
Okay, so I'm not going to point out any events or any places or anything like that. What I will say is what I have noticed, especially in the summertime in Chicago, I don't know where the memos go or who gets them, but it seems like there's a few things going on. There's always road projects, which we appreciate smooth drives. Yes, we do. We don't appreciate sitting in traffic, but we appreciate that. And then there's so many events that streets are closed, so then that forces traffic to all be backed up in one spot. So my drive-in is smooth. My exit, though, is never easy. Yesterday, it took me 40 minutes to get out of downtown.
How long does it normally take you?
5 minutes to get from where I was to, be able to and get home. Yeah, I sat there for 40 whole minutes.
Is there a time of day that you think is the worst?
I think if you are leaving downtown anywhere between, I would say 5 and probably 6:15, you're gonna be in a little traffic in the evening, for sure. My drive-in is smooth because I'm working at 10 and most people have to already be in the office a little earlier, at least by 9.
Yep.
So that's no problem, but that drive home, and I'm not an angry driver, I'm not yelling at people to get off the road, I just sit there and take it. Because what else can you do?
Right.
And I don't want nobody getting out their car trying to fight me. And so I don't want to be on anybody's viral video from then having to react. And I saw a video yesterday, this is unrelated because I go down these rabbit holes, of this guy that got mad in traffic and he was on the bike and then he took somebody's mirror off and then stepped on the mirror. I'm like, just get over it. It's traffic. What can you do?
Exactly. There's really not much you can do besides other ways to get there. So you can take the bus, you can take the train.
Right.
But
if you can.
Otherwise, you just kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah, and make it as safe as possible because we've seen nowadays where people get really crazy on the roads and you yell something out and they're getting out or they're pulling something out, and I don't want any of that for anybody. So
right. So another thing that we found that causes stress Unemployment. So it's not.
I mean,
Chicago
yeah.
is number 31 in the entire country for unemployment.
Have you ever been unemployed?
I was laid off in 2020. It was the worst experience I've ever had in my entire life.
It's tough.
I was so stressed, constantly applying to jobs. It gets to a point where applying to jobs is stressful. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
So you really have no other choice until you can find that other job.
Absolutely. I've been there. I've been unemployed, underemployed, and I know what that's like. And it was really tough. And so that can cause stress. I guess best thing that I had going was I did have unemployment benefits, but it's still not the equivalent to the amount of your pay. So
right. And you're not used to making that amount of money.
Right.
So when you have certain bills or a car note that you've already factored in that amount, it makes it even tougher.
I will give this piece of advice, even though nobody watching asked for it. If you are in that position, if you do find yourself unemployed or underemployed and you're trying to make ends meet, you have a car note and stuff like that, you can call some of those companies and let them know, hey, I've just been, laid off or whatever, fired, and hey, I'm just working on getting a new job. And then that way it won't take all these hits to your credit. They can move some of those payments back. Yes, I've been in that position before, but sometimes people don't know that.
Right.
That they'll put those payments on the back end of whatever contract you have with them, especially with a car note, and you'll be able to pay. It'll take you a little longer to pay off the car, but at least it won't impact your credit. So.
Right. That's a great tip.
Yeah, a little something.
Such a good tip.
Yeah.
So
take some of the stress off. But go ahead.
Another stressful thing. Chicago is 93rd in the country for lack of sleep. Are you getting enough sleep?
Who gets enough sleep?
Right.
I mean, nobody. Because even if so say for example you are unemployed. You're up looking for jobs. You're stressed, right? You're not going to get enough sleep there. If everything is fine in your life and you have a spouse or you have kids, you're not, I think when you become an adult, the idea of sleep, like if we're talking 8 hours of sleep, that has to get out of your brain. That's never going to fully happen.
Really?
That's called vacation.
See,
really.
I make sure I'm getting my 8 hours of sleep.
Listen, you are the most perfect. Can we find somebody who's not as perfect?
What we have to realize is you got to take control of your life when you can. In this certain circumstance in life for me, I'm able to have my sleep, prepare things in advance. I don't have any kids. I don't have a husband.
Girl, can we switch?
It's just
so
me.
What we're going to do on the next show is we're going to switch roles and let her be me for a couple of days.
I would love to be Tia for the day. I would love to be Tia for the day. Have the cutest outfits.
Okay, I'll take the compliments, but Justine, it is not easy. This is straight. I'm like a cartoon right now. This is not the real me. What's going on the inside does not match the outside for sure. But we'll do it again tomorrow, Justine. You and I. We'll be back here tomorrow.
I can't wait.
Yeah, make sure you tune in. Chicago Now. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon.
Now at noon, breaking news. A former Chicago alderman reportedly released from prison. We're live with details.
And a new rule could make the TSA lines go even faster during your next trip to the airports.
And taking a live look outside, we are expecting the heat to return after a couple of cool days. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
And I'm Brian Jackson. We begin this afternoon with breaking news. Former Chicago alderman Edward Burke will reportedly be released from prison today, possibly already back on his way to Chicago.
That, at least according to the Chicago Tribune, Burke will be headed for a halfway house to continue his corruption sentence. Political reporter Paris Schutz is live with the latest at at City Hall and what we know. Paris.
Yeah, Sylvia and Brian, the Tribune is citing sources that say Burke is on his way out of prison in downstate Thompson, Illinois, to a halfway house in the Chicago area. Burke was sentenced last year to 2 years in federal prison for his crimes, shaking down a Burger King, shaking down the developer of the old Maine post office, among others. Now, he would get out in May of 2026 if he serves 85% of that term, which typically federal defendants are required to serve. We're not exactly sure why the Bureau of Prisons is transferring him now to a halfway house, although his age might be a factor. He's 81 years old. Remember, Burke was the dean of Chicago City Council. He served for decades as the most powerful figure on that body. He was the chairman of the Finance Committee, where he decided on every piece of legislation that passed